Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, the big and furry bovine. For the next however long I can keep my shit together, we'll be talking about the Cleveland Browns and where they're at right now. And I don't mean geographically, I mean where they're at as far as coming along. And joining me right now is David Talevsky. How are you, David?
Doing good, Moo.
Good. And there are some things that I wanted to talk about. We don't have an unofficial depth chart for this week because we're not playing until Thursday, and there will be more parentheses on the list. So that's injured. Well, the poor Bronk watching on my phone trying to fix his PC. Now you see, this is why you've got to test this stuff long before the program so it will fuck you up right at the last minute. That's the important thing. And Rick May says, so the Browns thought Kellen Mond was going to be to tie the game with the 2-point conversion. Well, at that point, I don't think they wanted to play overtime because people go down like flies with, and with injuries. And at that point, he's not going to be on the roster anyway. So, they're going to let him go probably as early as after this game if things play out to see if he can hook on somewhere else. That would be my guess. Hi, Mark Ross. How you doing, buddy? Nice to hear from you. Here's what the last unofficial depth chart was, which is still presently so until they change it for this week's game. I find it interesting. It isn't where people are slotted because I could give a shit about that. It's when you start looking at positions, like left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Jedrick Wills, I don't know if you saw what was being thrown all over the internet, him getting just whipped by Chase Young. Did you see that?
I saw that, yes.
Yeah, and he looked like a stumble bum, for God's sakes. And when he goes down with another ankle, who's behind him but James Hudson III? Have you seen any improvement in James Hudson III?
No, not really.
Oh, that's what Topaz said too. And behind him, Tyrone Wheatley Jr. So that's the fucking blind side of our quarterback. It's in the hands of Jedrick Wills and James Hudson again. Left guard is Joel Bitonio. We know how good he is, but Michael Dunn, Michael almost done. And then Wes Martin. It sounds like a janitor. Hey, Wes, could you clean up there in the locker room?
Somebody clogged the toilet again.
Yeah, damn, get in there. You've got the same center situation, but flip-flopped because Nick Harris isn't recovered from his injury, which means that Luke Whippler couldn't be that good if he this early in the preseason falls behind Nick Harris, who's still partially crippled. And Ethan Pokic, of course, is going to be the starter. You got Wyatt Teller and you've got Drew Forbes. Drew Forbes, that sounds like a lawyer.
Forbes and Son.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I'm Drew Forbes, and if anything happens to you, I'm going to fuck up the bastard who did it to you. Yeah.
He's not certainly Tim Misney, I'll tell you that.
No. If I see one more Tim Misney billboard with that stupid look on his face, I would love to see him in a UFC fight.
Oh, boy.
Make that guy pay. I mean, this is so shallow and so stupid. It's like, I'm going to make them pay. No, you're going to make yourself a payday. That's what it is. And everywhere I drive, I see that fucking Tim Misney billboard. And that's the only complaint I've had about Northeast Ohio is his fucking face just denigrating the landscape.
Well, he's not as ugly looking as the Elk and Elk guys, especially the one that has the Mo Howard haircut.
Well, look, he's, let's do the time warp again. That's what he looks like. He looks like he's right out of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That guy. Yeah, I know. It's like, he's so far behind, away from a comb down at this point, but nobody's got the heart to tell him, just terrible. Then you've got Wyatt Teller and Drew Forbes and Colby Gossett. Then you've got Jack, don't look at me funny or I'll fall to the ground, Conklin.
Who just went into the medical tent during the practice today.
What?
He just went off the field into the medical tent during the practice
for fucking
today.
Christ's sake. Are you kidding?
It actually happened. Mary Kay tweeted it out.
Oh, man, the queen of misery.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean...
I will say this: the defense is holding up well against the Eagles' first string offense. They're dominating them, for what I've read.
Oh, see, I'm not reading that, so you can fill us in because I have this thing, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just us guys, David. I can tell you, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a life. I can't. I got a lot of things to do, and I don't follow everything. But that's why guys like you are invaluable. Because you can tell me stuff like, "Well, you're saying that Conklin's going to get hurt, but it already happened," and that makes me prescient.
Yep.
DeJuan Jones is behind him, and Derek Kelly, one of two Kellys on the team. And the real question for me is, you got Njoku, you've got Jordan Akins, and Jordan Akins is ahead of Harrison Bryant, and Harrison Bryant hasn't done dick since he's been here, and that whoever the third tight end is, that Stefanski will play him. And Miller Forrestall has looked better than Harrison Bryant.
For what I've seen, yes.
And even Zaire Mitchell-Payden looks better than Harrison Bryant. So that's one to keep your eye on.
He has a better name than Harrison Bryant.
Yeah, Harrison Bryant kind of sounds like, and this is my son, Harrison.
Yes, indeed.
And in fact, it took us... Lovey and I a hell of a long time to get him into Harvard. Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Bell, Mike Harley Jr., and Michael Woods, who's got a ripped out leg. The thing that I'm seeing is when you look at the other wide receiver situation with Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, Jakeem Grant, Austin Watkins. Austin Watkins is moving up. And David Bell, if this continues with Austin Watkins, David Bell, I mean, they might keep him on the roster as a special teams player and as an insurance policy because he was drafted recently, but that might be the only reason.
Yep.
So, I find all this stuff interesting. So what are you hearing about the defense? Is Myles Garrett breathing really hard?
Well, for what I've heard is Hurts almost got sacked on like the first two plays that they ran against the Browns defense. They were called like nearly 2 sacks.
But what happened on the plays?
I don't know, because the Philadelphia reporters really weren't explaining it. There was one thing where Hurts underthrew a pass to Devontae Smith, and then Denzel Ward picked it off.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, maybe we're getting some push.
Yeah, and then Ward also, I think, broke up another pass that was for Devontae Smith also.
Well, I mean, that's good. And do I think the Eagles are the be-all, end-all? No, but I think they're a really solid, good football team. And at this time of the year, who knows? everybody's.
I still think they're the best team in that conference.
Yeah, but I mean, the question is, are they just playing half speed or what? Because we see this, and quite honestly, we get into the first game of the year, and we look like we're not moving in slow motion. To me, it's da 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 da. We all look like we're in the pivotal scene of Chariots of Fire, and we're moving very, very slowly.
Yep.
Also at the top, Elijah Moore will sit out the joint practice versus the Eagles. I can't allow their allowing open marijuana smoking. What
are they?
What is up with the joint practice? You think these guys wouldn't need practice doing that? They can do that all by themselves. But Greg Newsome II is gonna be out there and get some work in.
Yes.
And so that's good news. We knew that Elijah Moore, and none of the starters are going to play in this game.
The new guy, Shelby Harris, that we brought in, he's out there too.
Yeah, he's. I loved what Kevin Stefanski said. This guy is an Ivy League graduate.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and so that makes him the smartest man. And he was talking about Shelby Harris, and I'm trying to find this quote. Stefanski is eager to get that inside push from Harris, which he's always done in his 9-year career. Interior rushers, this is his quote. Interior rushers, it can be difficult to double them at times, depending on what the offense is doing, how they're deploying people. So you get one-on-ones inside. So anytime you win inside, you get to the quarterback a lot quicker than even from the end. It's like, did anybody tell him the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line? Of course you can get to the quarterback quicker if you beat your man inside as opposed to outside. You stupid fuck! What are you telling me this for? It's simple mathematics, man.
Those Ivy League guys.
Stefanski. He was a ball boy for the Eagles. He balls in his face. Oh my God. Yeah.
Ward and Garrett have also gone in with the medical trainers.
Who?
Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward are both gone to the medical tent.
By the time we play, we're going to be down to second and third stringers. You know it is so. Data.
Yep.
The first thing we're going to do, Stefanski said, is go to your typical wide receivers versus DBs, tight ends versus linebackers, running backs versus safeties and the linebackers, and obviously that O-line versus the D-line. That's always a great measuring stick for you because you get to see good versus good. Who's good? And who's not good, Kevin? Mr. Mediocrity. You did a mediocre job last year. You told the press and the whole world, yep, I was mediocre. Why are you still here? I don't understand. But I'll tell you this. The measuring stick that they're looking for isn't going to matter if these guys keep getting hurt. This happens every fucking year. And the guys who are on the field are not the guys who are supposed to be on the field. Thank you, Double P. Actually, he thinks the hypotenuse is an animal from Africa. Stefanski. Pythagoras? This is becoming an enlightened program. But then again, there are people who think that Euclid is a city in Ohio. Okay. We're not even going to go there. So at any rate, that's our brave Warrior head coach who's never probably taken a good hit in his life. Then we get this ridiculous stuff. The Unreal Learning Experience helping Jedrick Wills Jr. and what the Browns need from him in year 4. Effort! I don't have to read this article. I need somebody who's in shape, who's willing to play. And if he has a little boo-boo, he still has to play. I'm looking for somebody who will protect the quarterback from his blind side. And I don't need journalists, so-called journalists, who are charging people for a paywall to try to explain to me why the numbers, the PFF numbers, are not accurate when it's about Jedrick Wills, that he was really better than what everybody saw. Get so sick and tired of it. Do you notice I didn't even mention Anthony Schwartz's name yet? Oh, shit, I blew it. Anthony Schwartz will be nowhere. He's going to be cut. After this game, he'll be cut. You heard it from me first. And everyone's going, please make it so, Mr. Moohead, please. Halle Berry was a Euclid graduate. How about that?
Learn something new every day.
Huh?
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, it's true. I hear she was a monster ball, too, back. Sorry. At any rate, what's next? Oh, Jacob Phillips. My pick! My pick!
This time not his left one, but his right one.
At least now. He's equalized now.
I'm telling you, man, there's sometimes his body's telling him, this ain't for me.
Yeah, I was watching something on YouTube, and it was a fight between Jerry Quarry, and this is before your time, David, the great white hope of the late 1960s and early 1970s, fighting Kenny Norton in 1975, and it was a must-win fight. Both guys were 29 years old. The difference was that Norton was 29 years old, and at 29, Quarry was 42. Guy had taken so much punishment. And there comes a point where the mind, the body just don't respond anymore. And boy, did Quarry take a beating. It was like, you can't tell me that these two guys are like top 5 heavyweights. It looked like, I mean, he was getting whacked the entire fight, and he looked like he didn't belong in the ring with him. And, it was sad. And I believe what you just said. It's an illustration of sorts, David. Sometimes the body just says, no. Oh, here's Bronk. He figured it out.
Boo.
Way to go, Moose. All right. So, yeah, to me, Jacob Phillips, at this point in his life, unless he has some reason for continuing, I mean, I hope that he has alternate plans, because he's going to just keep rotating right, left. It's, I mean, that's an odd injury to begin with, but to suffer it 2 years in a row makes you really wonder.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just something that's hard to believe.
Yeah, we just heard that from David, Mr. B. It's unbelievable. And Richard Branham. Hi, Richard Branham. Still waiting to run into me? What kind of car are you driving so I'll be able to get the fuck out of the way?
Hope it's not a Prius.
Wow.
uh, how long before I go back to Florida? I'm going back to Florida the middle of October. So you
Yeah,
still
that
have 2
sounds good.
months to hunt me out.
Which will
No
probably
good-
still warm up here.
And I'm actually, going out with, meeting some of the people I went to high school with. I'm having a time of my life, really. It's been a lot of fun.
Wow. They're still alive, huh? That's doing good.
Well, yeah, I mean, but invariably the conversations turn to those who aren't.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's too damn many.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, I'm only 66 years old.
Bill
Eh,
Masterson.
I know. It's I'm walking into rooms and forgetting why I walked into the room. And the
Ooh.
first thing comes into my mind when
The
that
Wayne
happens to
stat.
me, no.
What?
Reminds me of my cousin Gerd.
Yeah.
I'm master sitting at 66.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're all a bit of Grandpa Simpson, so
By the way,
yeah.
Jerry Quarry died at the age of 53, and he fought
Wow.
his last fight when he was 47, already suffering from dementia. Can you imagine? The state of
Wow.
Colorado sanctioned the fight.
Anything for money.
He didn't even know why he was in the ring. Just, yeah, horrible. But yeah, it's. I hope the Browns can get healthy. What else can I tell you?
I got a question for you guys.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's like one big cut down day where the rosters can go from like 90 to 53.
Yep.
But can you? Are there people getting cut like now? I mean, are people hanging on to all 90 of their guys, or are they releasing a few drips and drabs? What's going on?
I don't think so. I'm seeing more people being signed than I'm seeing people being cut.
Right. It's going to be a bloodletting. And there's going to be so many people coming out onto the market, so to speak. And you know why this is being done.
Yeah, it's meant to devalue the value of the players.
Right, absolutely.
It's all a fucking owner's con to make these poor schmucks that are going to die before they reach the ages that we have reached. And to save them money. So they can sign them on the practice squad for the league minimum, which is like $9,000 a week or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hope they're happy, that they went out and they're going to practice hard against the Eagles, then all limp off the field injured. Now, did they say what the injuries were, David, as far as were they limping? Were they staggering around like they had taken a head blow? Anything?
No idea.
David, are you still there?
Hello?
I guess he.
I'll go through in a minute, Lou. Hang on.
Okay, good.
Yeah, let him look. Yeah.
So Keith is asking me, don't know if you talked about York already. What's your thoughts? First of all, it's an ugly city in Pennsylvania, and I wouldn't go there. Second of all,
city in Yorkshire, though.
Yeah, their peppermint patties suck. Yep. But if I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. But Cade York, he's going to come out and he's either going to make his field goals to start out the season or he's going to be shipped out real quick.
Yeah.
Lou, I'm back. What was it that you were even talking about? Because my dad was showing me something, so I wasn't even paying attention.
God, I'm sorry. I hope. I don't.
The mind boggles.
Whoa! I don't want to know.
That's all right.
Jeez, David. That didn't sound good.
I know.
Do you need a safe word? No,
I'm good.
Have a safe word for you.
Okay. What I was asking was there any indication when the players were being walked off the field to the medical tent, were they limping or did they look disoriented or?
Well, it said Miles walked off on his own power.
All right.
I didn't see anything about Denzel Ward, but Ward went to the medical tent, Miles to the locker room.
Say that again.
Denzel Ward went to the medical tent, Miles went to the locker room.
So I would say that maybe a concussion on one and the other one in the
Just
locker
tired.
room.
Yeah,
What's
he
in the
was
locker room?
I wouldn't know.
Oxygen, probably.
Neither would I. Oxygen. Bingo. We have a
Oxygen.
winner. Good one.
We've seen this team. I mean, and can I make a prescient comment here? And I thought there was a very revealing moment by our Hall of Fame tackle Joe Thomas during the broadcast. Sometime in late in the game, third quarter, fourth quarter, he was making a comment about if you don't play any preseason, then you come out at that first game and you struggle because it's hot and you're not in shape and blah blah blah. And I always felt that Joe Thomas was absolute shit in hot weather. And it turns out that probably by not playing any of these games, he wasn't ready for Chase Young to be beaten down on him. Well, Chase Young wouldn't have been playing, but the equivalent of him at 90-degree temperatures. That's why we always lose the first game. We have shit conditioning. Our players are dead when they show up. And how many first games have we lost now? 30 out of 31?
It's some incredible number.
Yeah, we had a tie in Pittsburgh only because it was raining. Or tie in Cleveland, wherever that game was held, 6 years ago. But yeah, Joe Thomas actually came out and said that run the tape back, and that's one of the things we're awful at.
Now, Amsterdam wants to use fork, finger, or hashi when eating sushi and sashimi. Ask your wife. I usually start with my finger, then two fingers. Okay.
His ex-wife, you mean? But anyway.
No.
That's Amsterdam.
He's married, isn't he?
He was, I think.
I hope I didn't.
He'll confirm that in a minute, I think.
Oh, no. I hope I didn't step on my own dick. I don't mean to do that. That's terrible.
But anyway.
And Ezekiel Elliott signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots.
Yeah,
$3 million base.
They've devalued the running back position.
Yeah, they succeeded. And of course, he ends up with Bill Bellyache, and who has no running backs at all this year. And Ezekiel Elliott had I forget what number of touches it is, but like the worst yard average
the
per
thing
touch.
About Elliott was that he was a lot like Baker Mayfield. When they were both young and healthy, they looked halfway decent and could end up being celebrities. But when they got a little bit older and dinged up, they were absolute shit. So
it's been a downhill thing.
To him.
Well, unless he has one bounce back year predicated on just getting out of Dallas,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I guess what I was saying before everything is somebody asked me about Cade York.
Cade York, yeah.
It is such an emotional situation, a mental thing, that if he comes out in the season, gets into a groove and starts kicking field goals, he could be okay. But if it continues the way that it's going and he comes out in the opening games and he starts hooking balls and pushing balls like that, he's going to be gone in a matter of 4 weeks.
Well, what Stefanski needs to do is that in our first game, and we end up with a 4th down and 2 on the 14-yard line, instead of fucking going for it, or instead of fucking running some weird ass option sweep RPO, just let Cade York kick a field goal that's only 30 some yards out and let him get some confidence that way, instead of using him as a last resort when we're on the 35-yard line. He has to fucking kick a 52-yarder all the time. Well, of course he's going to put extra oomph in it and hook it to the, slice it to the right, whatever.
Mr. B is asking me my take on the Bojorquez holder theory. he made Mason Crosby look like Bing Crosby. All right. There's no doubt that there is evidence that he has fucked other kickers up.
Wow.
But again, but they don't think so, obviously, because there's no one else punting except Bojorquez. So he's going to be the holder come hell or high water.
Well, why don't we get one of our crappy quarterbacks to be the holder? We got a couple of them.
Yeah, the thing I guess I watched him this last time shaking his head as he went off the field. That's a very bad sign. Real reinforced negative body language. He doesn't know what's going on. This has never happened to him before.
Sports psychology ain't working with him. They even got him doing that, doing the thing with the hand, like the drunkard trying to walk the line with the hand going up and down. So there you go.
No double P. Baker's not going to get cut. Unless they just are going to try to lose every game this year. But I mean, Kyle Trask has not.
Oh, he's terrible.
He hasn't looked good. So,
terrible.
And and Baker came out and played a good first drive. So, and what's really weird about it, Christopher, is that last year he was hooking the ball inordinately wide to the point where one of the balls went out into the parking lot outside the stadium. But now the ball's fading off to the right. I mean, it's like it's in his head, and I don't know what in the hell could be done for him at this point.
The three guys that all walked off under their own power.
That's good.
Yep.
That's good. I mean, at this point, these guys are not going to play. I'm going to be doing a halftime show, and I'm going to be watching the game, and I'm going to be looking for players. What I'm really interested in, and what I'll tell you what I'm not interested in. I don't want to be showcasing Kellen Mond. All right. There's no reason. And I know that he's, Kevin's boy, but there's no reason at this point. What I want to see is another series or two from Watson, but we're not going to see that. So I want to see Dobbs and DTR. I don't even want to see Kellen Mond. I want to see DTR not just come out and surprise somebody by beating people with his legs or this and that. I want a dead square comparison between DTR and Joshua Dobbs, because that to me is the most interesting of all. There are people who are online who are actually suggesting that Dobbs might not even be the third string quarterback that Mond willed because of his ties with Stefanski. That would be a little harsh, but the bottom line is it's not going to be a situation where you hold on to players. Everyone's going to get blown out all at once. And I have a sneaking suspicion, are the Browns going to carry three quarterbacks or not? DTR is going to make the team.
Oh, yeah. Everyone is. Everyone's going to have three quarterbacks because of that new rule now.
He's going to make the team.
Two guys, and then you have a third guy suited up in case you go.
Oh, that's right. He's in the bullpen. So
there is that new rule. Yeah. The thing I noticed again towards the end of this game, because I watched it like the following day, is that they were calling plays for Kellen Mond that were passes downfield. They didn't do that for the other quarterbacks, did they? Yeah, he actually got to throw the ball over the line of scrimmage a few times. So
yeah, the thing with Mond though is he's indecisive. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to do when you're watching a game because you're always turning your head this way to see if anyone's open downfield or this way. You're trying to follow the camera. What I do is I try to look at the quarterback's eyes and how quickly he gives up on something. And, what I see in Kellen Mond is he doesn't trust his eyes. And and he shouldn't, because what he does, he throws the
Yeah.
ball in a sea of humanity. He isn't quick and decisive. The thing with DTR, the reason I want to see him, I would like to see DTR start. I know it's
Yeah.
not going to happen, but I want to see him under the gun, just like Justin Fields had to do, just like who was it, the number one pick,
Trevor Lawrence.
he did. And how about this year, the guy who came out,
the guy from Ohio State whose
Stroud.
name eludes me. Yeah,
Stroud.
yeah, Stroud, who got his ass handed to him. It's and I saw something that just killed me. The Panthers were terrible. They didn't score a point, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
And they lost like 19-0 or some such thing.
It was like
Correct.
27-0.
Oh, was it 27-0? Yeah, I mean, it was awful. And the reason was their offensive line. And
How
bad is it?
who came out to talk about how disappointed he was in the play of the offensive line, and said, and I'm speaking about myself too. Yeah, Bryce Young. Cam Irving.
Wow.
I mean, these names don't go away. Well, of course, Cam Irving can't play. He sucks. I mean, Baker Mayfield is like, God, I feel safer just being away. Just being away.
Danny Shelton's in Kansas City.
What?
Danny Shelton is in Kansas City.
What's that have to do with anything?
I don't know. I just figured.
Did I miss something?
No, I just
There's a
figured
bit of a non sequitur there. But
No,
anyway.
I'm trying to connect the dots here.
I think David's dad's trying to show him something. Here.
Oh, no. I'm beat red right now. I'm so embarrassed that I said anything. I mean, and now you're doing this.
Class, so I just figured I'd mention it.
Yeah, Danny Shelton. Is he still underweight?
I don't even know what he is anymore.
Yeah.
Is he related to Barnaby, like Lynn Sheldon?
No.
No, because last names are different.
Yeah, that's true.
Not Barnaby, huh?
Yeah, and Bryce Young, all these people have to eat shit. And it's not that I want DTR to eat shit and look bad. I want to see how
adversity. That's what you want to see.
And not only that, but the real-time speed of the better players. If he can just, because he's dropping back, looking and throwing. I want to see him go through progressions and see how he feels the rush. Because we heard Justin Fields was like the greatest thing, in the open field. And that first year, I mean, he looked terrified, honest to God.
Oh, God. I was terrified for him.
Yeah. So I guess that's that. Go ahead.
The Philadelphia beat reporters are saying that the Browns' defensive line dominated Hurts in the first team offense.
Who said this?
One of the Eagles beat reporters.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think Schwartz is going to put up with any shit.
No.
And that's a big part of all this. And, he's not going to accept bullshit answers. And Stefanski's in no place right now to ward him off. Yeah, he's going to be full bore Jim Schwartz. And that is, And
can I start a campaign to make Schwartz the interim head coach? Is it too early for that? Because I'm sensing
he's not a head coach. He's like most defensive coordinators,
Yeah.
He speaks the language of defense, and that's what he does, and that's what he should continue to do. And I mean
he had some decent years when he was head coach with Detroit.
Now roll that back. Say that again, slower, and we'll see where you made a mistake.
No, I know what he's saying. They were approaching 500.
Yeah, they were like us. They were 7-10, or 7-9, or 6-10, and
no, he made the playoffs one year.
Yeah,
I believe it was
so-
2011. They were in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Wow.
but I mean, Wayne Fonts made the playoffs with the Lions. It doesn't really count.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Falcons cut Michael Walker, linebacker. Would the Browns have any interest, seeing as how their linebackers keep going down with injuries?
And they're
No,
all
he's
named
on the
Walker.
Okay, what, David?
He got picked up by the Bears.
Oh, he did. Damn.
Yes, he did.
Damn. I'm looking at our depth at linebacker, and it's like it's still the talkie shit. It's like he was their leading tackler.
Yeah.
And I don't know, 25 years old. I thought, yeah, man, maybe there's something we could take a look at, but never mind.
I mean, is Jacob Phillips really all that big of a loss, though, when you think about it?
Well, no, because he never really amounted to anything. We don't know what he might have been, but in that regard, no, it's not like he was something that we had it taken away from us. It's
All I know
not
is
like
he was useless when you put the green dot on him. That's all I knew.
Well, was he
Yeah.
an LSU guy?
Yes.
Okay, so now and it goes back to my theory that half the people from LSU are always perpetually injured and shit, and then maybe the other half are okay and serviceable players. I wish we would stop drafting them from that.
Well, Anthony
university.
Walker put on the little green dot, and look what happened to him. I mean,
Yeah, he got
it's
killed.
yeah. Now the other thing that was interesting before Elijah Moore had to leave the game, was that they were deploying him in many different fashions on the field.
Deployed.
And
wow.
now the thing that bothers me about this is this is a toy that you don't want to give to Kevin Stefanski, all right? Because the master of the self-imploding trick plays, this looks like
God.
something that Wile E. Coyote is dreaming up.
Yep.
And, I want a wide receiver who can run a clean pattern, catch the pass, and consistently do what he's supposed to do and really give us outside speed, agility, and open up Amari and open up Donovan Peoples-Jones. And that's what I would like to see.
Are
And
we sure that Stefanski wants to run that play to Elijah Moore against the Steelers, knowing that they're probably going to try to go for his head because of how small he is?
look, I mean,
Go for his head.
I'm sure it's been well reported that we want to use the kid in a bunch of different ways, Stefanski said. Well, why don't you
Oh,
first
make it
develop?
Stop.
I know this is, God, it's like this. It speaks to versatility. I mean, Alex Van Pelt had Randall Cobb. If it were Randall Tex Cobb would have had Alex Van Pelt. But that's another story.
That's another story.
For another time. When you have guys, it's the classic, the more you can do. And I think for us, we're early on in being around Elijah. So what is fun is there's no shortage of what he can do. I think physically, but also mentally, you can put a lot on his plate. No, I want you to put one fucking thing on his plate. I want him to run patterns, get open, and take the heat off Amari because we need downfield targets for Deshaun Watson. It's that simple. This isn't a fucking toy. This isn't a guy for gadget plays. Can we please I don't care about this. He can play right tackle. He can play left tackle. He can play center. He's a dessert topping and
a Ginsu knife.
Yeah. I don't get this at all. And it puts this, it labels him, well, he's not good enough or durable enough, and maybe he's not based on what we've seen so far, to be a full-time wide receiver. So we want him to,
I'm reading some stuff from the Eagles beat reporter again. He says the Browns ultimately won this practice.
Yeah, but half our guys are in the medical tent.
Well, for what it seems like, they're not serious.
Let's hope.
Yeah, but he's saying more than likely Watson had the best deep pass of the day, and Cleveland was more energized, and they came into this practice fired up.
Well, I mean,
there
that's
you go.
a good sign. That's a good sign.
There you go. How about that? I mean, maybe the Eagles are a bit fat and sassy after going to the Super Bowl last year. You know?
I'll still take them.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Who
don't know.
is
I'm on the Fire Stefanski bandwagon already. I mean, if there's a bandwagon out there that wants to fire Kevin, I want to be on it, leading it, running the charge, because I was sick of those plays that were being called.
and I was sick of the plays at the goal line in the first preseason game
Oh,
too.
that was terrible. Yeah.
I just, it's like, what's the point of like, well, we did it, got down the field, you didn't score. I just, it's kind of like, well, I came really close to coming. And
Yeah.
that in and of itself is important because
It's
when
never gonna
I
make a
do
baby, though.
spooge, it's going to be huge.
Much like Terry Pluto.
Oh, God.
Oh, sticky. That's a sticky one.
Oh, make that stop. Who is the leading wide receiver for the Browns this preseason?
Austin
Oh, God.
Watkins.
That's right.
Probably, yeah.
Austin Watkins.
Austin.
He had
Watkins.
71 receiving yards. Second straight game, he's led the receiving corps. You have to take a long look at this guy. Every time I see a guy who's open and catching the ball, who is the guy who we had and we let him go? He played during Bernie Kosar's reign. He was the wide receiver who he was a littler guy, and all he did was catch everything that was thrown to him.
Well, not Reggie Langhorne.
Oh, no. This was a guy.
Oh,
Somebody's got
God.
to come up with this name in the chat room, for God's sakes. Because
What team did he go to afterward?
I want to say, where did he go? And he was good. I think he went to maybe Carolina. Maybe. Did he go? I'm trying to remember where he went. Not Brian Brennan. No.
No. Good guess, though.
No. What was his name? He was on the practice squad, and he was catching everything in the practice squad. And I can't think of his name. Isn't that terrible? It's my age again.
Oh, there was Clarence Weathers.
No, and he couldn't catch the ball. He could get
couldn't
open
catch the
at
ball.
will, but he couldn't catch the ball. What is this? This is going to bother me, folks. Somebody come up with
God.
this.
Well, I'm trying.
I mean, when Kosar was the quarterback, he was one of the second line wide receivers. He was lower on no, not McNeil. No. Come on. I'm not going to move the show forward until somebody.
There was Mike Oliphant, the running back.
No. This guy was a wide receiver, and he was boy. He had a name I cannot place.
And this was in the 80s?
This would have been in maybe when did we get rid of Bernie? But it was in the early 90s.
1990 then.
Yeah. It would have
Keenan
been
McCardell?
Keenan McCardell. Thank you.
That was just a guess, but
Wow.
Yeah, that is it's a right on the money guess. And just for that, no more dad jokes, okay? We're good.
Jokes.
We're good. You saved me. Yeah.
Yep.
They asked
there
Bernie
you go.
Kosar who the best receiver was. And
Oh,
he said
yes. I
Keenan
remember that.
McCardell because he had the best hands. And
yeah, he went to Jacksonville.
that's where he went. He went to Jacksonville. And he had a decent career.
Yeah.
And but whenever I see a guy like Austin Watkins, that's kind of what I think about. I think about, is this the next Keenan McCardell? A guy who isn't big, but somehow he gets open and he catches the ball with his hands and he does what he's supposed to do. And I want to see more of him.
I think this coaching staff has taken notice of him. Back then, Belichick, I don't think he really had the mind for offensive players, but this coaching staff, I think they see Austin Watkins. I don't think they're going to let him get away.
I sure as hell hope not. And the problem is for David Bell because Watkins is getting downfield.
Yes.
McCardell. Yeah.
Yeah. So Yeah, it's amazing all the names that come and go.
Yeah, 1992, we still had Kozar, but we also had Todd Philcox and Mike Tomzak. So I think that was
Phil
but
Cox.
we had Michael Jackson and Keenan McCardle, and then the ever always hurt Lawyer Tillman.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the beginning of the end for this team.
And then they brought in Andre Rison.
Yeah, so 1993.
You don't want to know.
1993. Yeah, Kozar was gone in 92. 93 was Vinny Testaverde, Brad Goebel, Todd Philcox.
I think Belichick would have been better off if he kept Mark Rippon instead of Testaverde.
Well,
I swear to God, what does it matter at that point? Bill Belichick, stumbled in to a great quarterback, and without that great quarterback, he would not be a Hall of Fame coach. So he can fuck himself. Yeah, look at that. Jim is pointing out that Keenan had over 11,000 yards receiving in his career. I mean, Bernie Kosar, honest to God, knew, and the coaching staff didn't. This is unfortunate, and I sure hope they let Deshaun Watson make some decisions out on the field. That would be nice.
Money gave him, there's no way they don't.
Yeah. Now, there's two stories I want to end with. And they're not happy stories, but they rarely are. Headline, disgruntled 76ers star, I wouldn't use that word, James Harden slams liar Daryl Morey. Now,
geez, I saw this earlier.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. I mean, James Harden is a fucking troublemaker. I mean, he has, of his own volition, forced 3 consecutive teams to get rid of his sorry ass.
Yep.
And he's no longer got a first step. He's too heavy. He's playing too heavy. Has no vertical anymore. And he has a fadeaway that if he's making it, I mean, the playoffs, he scored 42 points. And another game, he scored 40 points. But then the rest of the time, he didn't even score in double digits. He's not going to be there for you every night. He was, in 2018, the NBA MVP, which I never thought he was because he was never a team player. But, I mean, stop and think about this guy. The Rockets just got sick of him because he put him through shit and shipped him to the Nets because he had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. But Kyrie Irving fell off the flat earth. Harden then wanted a trade to the 76ers. And part of the reason was he had personal ties with Morey. All right. Harden led the league in assists this season, but he had to take a back seat to Joel Embiid, which makes sense because Embiid shoots a high percentage of shots and he is in his prime. But being the second fiddle behind Embiid was something that his ego obviously couldn't take. And so basically the idea of whatever they called it, the plan or whatever it was in Philadelphia, the process is now defeated. The 76ers, of course.
Hey, Moo.
Yeah.
We got an update from the Browns on what happened.
Yes.
Conklin is a concussion. Denzel Ward has an illness, and with Miles, they're saying it's a foot issue.
Denzel has an illness?
Yes.
Why was he out there?
I don't know, but he did pretty good out there, actually, from what I'm hearing. To play that good with an illness, that's kind of incredible.
And Miles has a foot. Was it in his mouth?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper just put his foot in his mouth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just said he and Elijah Moore are like Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt.
Oh, don't go there. Don't do it.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I mean, just downplay, please. And yes, Conklin is always hurt. So a concussion, he's going to be gone for 2 weeks, and it doesn't matter anyway at this point.
You want a bold prediction?
Bold prediction.
DeJuan Jones will be your starting right tackle by the end of the season.
Oh,
yeah, well, I think that's
obviously.
almost an even money bet, you know?
We'll probably go past DeJuan. He'll get hurt as well. Then we'll have some guy from UTEP in San Antonio be our tackle.
So the thing with Harden is he basically wanted to be the man. And now he wants to go to the Clippers, but nobody wanted to pay what it cost for him because he's done. He's no longer a night in, night out kind of player, and he's got a bad fucking attitude. So now he's doing the professional wrestler act. All right. And this is a thing that is unfortunate. He stands up in front of the press and says, Daryl Morey is a liar, and I'll never be part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar. It's like, I can hear the Macho Man's voice. I'm not even going to do it.
Snap yeah. Jim.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to insult, Daryl Morley's wife. I could yodel into her pussy and there's an echo. Does that get me out of town? It's pathetic. But the story I've saved for last is the most pathetic of all.
How pathetic is it?
When somebody makes a motion picture of your life, like The Blind Side did.
Oh, I saw it too.
I mean, this whole thing has blown up in such a way. I mean, the people who allegedly adopted him didn't really adopt him. It was a conservatorship. And what it amounts to, I mean, I'll try to, without getting into the legalities of all this, they approached him when he was in high school and, we're gonna help out this poor, undereducated black kid and in our wealthy white home, and we're going to give him all the advantages, and we're going to really help this guy out. Meanwhile, they had him sign a document that assured him that he would never be a family member. This is the thing that is the most damning thing. I mean, it's one thing to say, well, they adopted him. Well, they didn't really adopt him, according to Michael Oher. I mean, that is a matter of definition. They, with a conservative, what do they call this? It's a conservator.
That sounds like guardianship.
Yeah. When you're a conservator, what it amounts to is, you're not a member of the family. And so he didn't make a dime off the movie. It's his fucking life.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's
robbery.
I mean, this is as bad as any boxing story I could come up with.
That's robbery.
The film earned more than $300 million, yet the people, the white folks who allegedly adopted him, are saying, no, we didn't make any money off that movie, when they were getting royalty checks. And those royalty checks were split up amongst their children, their real children, and Michael Oher had nothing to say about it. It's a story of somebody being taken advantage of, who was looking for a hand up help, and this is what he gets.
Wow.
And the movie made him appear to be like he was like slow.
Yeah, it wasn't very flattering. I mean, this really deserves BCOD treatment, even though he's
not here.
He's not here, but it sort of deserves.
I do have this.
You can hold up a picture of the BCOD.
Yeah. This I like to right in that white couple's eyes. I want to just put this right into their eyes.
That's very Shakespearean. That is.
Yeah. I mean, you blind
that
in those
happened-
days. You blinded people. Absolutely.
Yeah. King Lear not King Lear. His
Stevie
Buckingham
Wonder.
the other guy got blinded in King Lear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the whole thing here is money, money, money. Does anybody ever do anything out of the goodness of their heart? And in this
Loads
instance,
of people, you just never hear about it. I mean,
and they're not talking. You see, Sandra Bullock isn't talking. No, no.
she's hot though. I love Sandra Bullock.
Yeah. Who doesn't? But the husband and wife are not talking. And, this is going to go to court, and I want to keep an eye on this story, but it's really pathetic.
Yep.
Just pathetic.
Oh, can we have a final word from Dick Goddard about the weather Friday night? Could they have played earlier? Or
I was looking at the radar and WJW-TV radar, and what I saw was a shitstorm that was heading directly toward Cleveland. And when I looked at it, I said to myself, we're all going to die. I didn't want to get, the one thing I never want to do is get all psyched up about the weather. I can scare people sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, but everybody was fucked. I thought it was the end of the world as we know it.
Wow.
Fortunately, the game was delayed for a period of time. And then when the game came back on, it was still delayed because it was so boring to watch. Drowning woolly bears. Yeah, and I'll say this.
Woolly bears.
I'll tell you another thing before I get out of here. I didn't realize, in Florida, I don't have a sump pump.
Oh,
but,
no. I know where you're going with this.
Where? Go ahead. Tell me.
You got a fucking flood in your basement.
No. I actually had the sump pump that the previous owners had was put together by a 6-year-old child. And
oh boy,
you could tell because it was done with Tinker Toys.
Wow.
It doesn't get it done. So I was prescient, and I had a good plumber, and I'll give him a plug right now. Wade Plumbing out of Oroville. If you're on the west side, father and son, Charlie and Dan, they're two wonderful people. They did a great job and put in really an industrial strength sump pump for me.
Wow.
Right, because the way this yard is, there's a big slope, and you got to get the water out of there, so you don't end up with a wet basement.
Any clue how old it was?
Say what?
Any clue how old that thing was?
What, the sump pump?
Yes.
Well, it couldn't have been more than 4.5 years old because that's how long ago the house was built. But it was
wow.
It was Mickey Mouse. And the way it was put in was really poorly put in.
Ours, it was like 30 years before we finally got it replaced.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And a lot of it just has to do, with the check valve and what kind of check valve you want. And I researched this because what do I know from sump pumps,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the one problem is it started raining here. And raining here and raining here just a couple of days ago. And the whole summer has been dry. And all of a sudden, man, it's pouring cats and dogs. And I'm like, well, then all of a sudden I hear this thing come on and it sounds like a freight elevator. It goes. Right.
Wow.
And it's like, wow, that's loud. And now it has somewhat quieted down because it was new, and I guess when they're new, they're even louder. But
Wow.
yeah, so this is what I'm dealing with now at night, is this thing moving horizontally. It sounds like it's moving horizontally across my walk-in closet, going.
And eventually moves into shows up in your bedroom one night.
Yeah, no, but it's doing a great job. It's dry as hell.
That's good.
Yeah, down there. So it's doing its job. But yeah, we've had a bunch of rain up here. It's been an overcast day and raining today as well. And I think tomorrow weather's gonna pick back up. And by the end of the week, we're gonna be up to the high 80s. Double P wants Tommy Heinsohn before I go. What would Tommy Heinsohn say? Because he's such a basketball guy about James Harden.
Oh,
I don't know how many times I have to tell you. Would John Havlicek do something like this? Would he say, I'm the first option? I'm the guy who's going to score the basketball. No. Give the ball to Bill Russell. He can block shots. Bill Russell. Who wouldn't love Bill Russell?
Bailey Hall.
Yeah, that's just the one thing that he pulls out of his ass for no reason. Now, at the end of his life, I'm sure that he would wake up in the middle of the night and scream, Bailey Howell! And his wife would hit her head against the ceiling. Yeah, so, but I hate to say it, but in this instance, Tommy would be right. And that's difficult.
What about Dwayne Staten, the Tampa Bay Buccaneer Rays, whatever they're called, lightning bugs?
Coming back and with
beating the Guardian Spiders.
I swear to the baby Jesus, if there was one more wild pitch out there, I was going to go postal. And then all of a sudden, Wander Franco, of all people, cranks one out of the ballpark 24 hours before he's basically suspended for writing something so vile on social media that nobody will report what he said.
Wow.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But then the Guardians came back and crushed their skull.
Dalvin Cook just signed with the Jets.
Really?
Dalvin Cook.
Yes, he did. He just signed with the Jets.
Wow. I can think of one happy person, and he's a person I don't like, and he plays quarterback.
Yep.
Wow. That's going to be a big New York story. I got to get the hell out of here. You've gotten 8 minutes of bonus move head. That's right.
Oh, I got a very quick comment.
Yes.
You know that Sump Pub sound? That's the same sound that I think you get at the end of the Pink Floyd Welcome to the Machine.
You might be right. And Crumbly Q, do you realize that Crazy Guggenheim would not have had an act today because he... you have to go back and look up Crazy Guggenheim to understand that if you just transported him into the present and hey Joe, and you start, it's like he's fucking Corky. You can't. I mean, he would have no act. It's like,
no,
you insensitive prick. This isn't funny. That's how I would say that. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm out of here, but I will be back Thursday. That's a promise. Because
Thursday.
We're playing. We're playing on Thursday. And on the NFL Network. So
on the NFL Network. Oh
that's
God,
right.
Who does that mean? We're not gonna get. We're gonna get Rich fucking Eisen, aren't we?
Yeah, probably. Who's gonna be talking about New York, and probably taking cheap shots at Deshaun Watson while he's not playing.
Well, I thought either 5 or 3 have the contract to those national games like that. I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, I mean they may be on WEWS, but after the first broadcast, WEWS
that was pretty poor.
Chris Rose and Joe Thomas, love Joe Thomas, but man, and going to those what's her name,
Didi Kika Wawa.
the interviews just kept going on, and they were like trying to go back to the plays to see the live action on the field. And I said, there's a priority here, and it's the game, not
Yeah.
Myles Garrett playing with himself or talking about something foolish, but be that as it may, Thursday, I'll be the game starting at 7:30. I understand. I believe that's the case. And
Where is it? Philadelphia.
yeah,
Yes.
but they said it was going to be on the NFL Network, and I'm hoping that locally
I'm
it'll be on WEWS. Hey, but if there's two ways to watch the game, it's better for fans. That's the way I
Yeah,
look at
there
it.
you go.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot, and I'll be back again on Thursday at halftime. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
Boo, boo, boo.